This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to this week's episode of Doc and Jock. We're in August. It's summertime. You know what that means? NFL, MLB. It's a great time to be talking to my guy, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. He's at the COVID castle. He's handling his business. Difficult times, but he's day-to-day handling his business and a true pro. That's why he's here today to break down the Detroit Tigers, their moves. The Tigers, Scott Harris, Chris Fetter, they must love projects. Oh my goodness. Did they get the big name closer? Did they get the big name bat? Oh, they made moves, but they went out and got guys in their 40s, late 30s, guys that were at the taco stand that wanted to come back and pitch. They're on the Tigers. That's the push that they're making. Oh my goodness. But I will give Scott Harris a little bit of credit in that the philosophy that Doc and Jock talked about last time of, hey, if you're not going to make a bold move, then take a risk and tell your players we trust you and get after it. But my goodness, the message sent. We're going to talk about it. I think Doc and Jock are not going to be positive about our outlook regarding the future of the Tigers in 2025, at least. Second half of the podcast, hoping to go 30, 45 minutes today on this great episode, talking about the Lions training camp. It was a botched effort. I went to Canton, and I literally could have rolled right up to the truck and drove it off if I wanted to. That's how bad. We were joking how bad security is. Volunteers are even worse. Event volunteers, tech people, security officers, among the most lost, disorganized people on earth. I'm like, hey, how do I get into the media room? Down there. Down the ramp into the truck? Yeah. Okay. I walk down there. I see the media people. They're looking at me like, you're not in the right spot. So I just veered off to the right. Nobody said anything. There's this kid off to the side with his thumb up his butt. And I'm like, where am I at? And he's like, I don't know, but the Lions locker room is right there. I'm like, okay. I could have literally veered to the left, walked right into the Lions locker room and said, what's up, guys? I'm here. That's how bad the Hall of Fame was disorganized. Luckily, I found my way. I was reveling in the disorganization because I kind of predicted it. I'm happy they credentialed me. But, oh, my God, the volunteers had no clue what was going on. Luckily, you could see the part where the media sat. So, you can, okay, it's going to be around here somewhere. So, I found my own way. What an embarrassing situation. But, yeah, I could have literally walked right into the Lions locker room. I could have literally walked right on the field and just acted normal, acted confident, and walked right on the field. Jesus, what's going on? The Lions acted that way. They treated it like it was a volunteer trip. They went out there and laid an egg. So that sucked for Lions fans. The vast majority came from Michigan, the 3-hour drive. A lot of 97 jerseys, a lot of excitement. The Lions didn't deliver to their fans in a rare occasion. We'll talk about it. Unfortunately, Teddy Bridgewater dreams dashed in a mere matter of hours. Some positivity went by the wayside. That's how fast the NFL goes. But hold your thoughts on the NFL. We'll get to it. Because how disappointing and deflating was it? When you look at, there's no way to spin it. I mean, they went safe. They went a wide variety of pitchers, guys that are ERA at north of 4. But in the end, the only way to positively spin it is if you trust Chris Fetter and you believe that Chris Federer knows pitching and feels like he can get something out of these guys differently with some minor adjustments. You added bullpen arms. You didn't give up much, but I feel like what they did was basically patchwork to kind of get back to maybe some level of reasonability with their pitching staff because the bullpen was so bad. But I don't see this move getting them over the hump with the Phillies or the Dodgers or the Yankees. It feels like they were moves made to be safe, to allow the team, yes, we could probably compete a little bit in the playoffs, but this doesn't put the Tigers in a position to be World Series caliber. I feel like the holes that you have offensively were again exposed against the Phillies. It stinks because are you going to have it again where Skubal has 6-7 strong innings and you only score 1 run? That's going to be tight. I felt like you needed more of an offensive presence. I felt like they were really light, and I felt like you could have given up one top 100 prospect. You could have been in the Bednar deal for the Yankees. You could have been in there. You could have matched it. You could have did more.
Let's show our age a little bit here.
Yeah.
Do you remember? You remember Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember towards the back half of Blockbuster's run, just before they filed bankruptcy, they used to have that bushel bin of DVDs where you could get like 3 DVDs for like $10. I feel like that's what the Tigers did with bullpen arms. They went to the bushel bin, they rifled through it, and they're like, oh, I remember this movie. This was great. I think this will be fantastic to add to my collection. Does it really hold up and does it stand up to the test of time? No, but I loved it when I was a kid. So I want to add this right now. That's really what it feels like, the mindset that they did when they went into the trade deadline. They got a whole bunch of odds and ends, a whole bunch of broken toys, a whole bunch of pieces. And they're like, hey, Chris Fetter, you're really good at fixing stuff.
Fix it.
See what you can do. And they're just hoping for Fetter to fix 2 or 3 of these guys and be like, cool, we're set for the playoffs. The problem is it's a bunch of junk. And when you match up against really good teams that are bound for the playoffs, teams that you're probably going to have to run into during the playoffs, your record is not what your overall record is. Your overall record is something amazing. It's great. It has you at the very tops of the MLB. When you really break it down and you kind of delve into it and you look at the teams that are in playoff contention right now, your record, I think you're probably 10 games below 500 or something close to 10 games below 500. That's not good. That's not going to do it because that's what you're going to be seeing when you make it to the playoffs. What this organization is telling you is, hey, we thought what we did last year was pretty good and we're ahead of schedule. We think that with another year of growth, these guys are going to get better. With the small moves that we made during free agency this year, this team's going to be better. We went out and we got all these pieces, and they reach in their pocket and they pull out a bunch of bubblegum wrappers and lint. They're like, we got all these pieces. These things right here are going to make us better for the playoffs. The key is we got to get hot for the playoffs. And if we can get hot for the playoffs, we'll be a dangerous team. Well, what happens if you're slumping going into the playoffs? What happens if you start slumping after game 2 of the playoffs? Because you and I both know baseball is a weird sport, man. It ebbs and it flows, and sometimes you'll be riding the high, which got the Tigers to this point going up to the All-Star break. And then sometimes you'll be riding the lows of the lows, which is where they were entering the All-Star break and then coming out of the All-Star break. And you got to be able to fix it quickly. I don't feel like they've got the roster. I don't feel like they've got the pieces to make that type of adjustment quickly and effectively to get you out of a bit of a tailspin when you only have 1 or 2 games where you can do that in. I just don't like this approach. It just doesn't do anything for me. I think the big issue is after the trade deadline, you were going up against the Phillies, who traded for a guy that you probably should have been in talks about getting in Johan Duran. And yes, it would have cost you. But this guy is a premier closer. Right now, closer's a bit of a question mark on this team. This was a premier closer that you would have control over for the next 3 seasons. This is the guy that you could pair with Tarek Skubal. This would be a guy that when Tarek Skubal leaves, you could say, hey, we've got one of the best closers in the league. We are going to help build this bullpen around him, and we are going to get guys in here to help him do his job. It would have been a guy that you could have put on the cover of a ticket and sold a ticket to somebody. Instead, you weren't even involved because your top 5, your top 10, and it sounds like your top 13 to 15 prospects were unmovable. You want to talk about the bat of Suarez? This was a guy who ended up going for what the equivalent was of your 11th overall minor league prospect. You weren't willing to give up your 11th overall prospect to get a guy here who could smash the ball for you and help get you out of a funk. To me, the mindset of this organization, I get that they love what they've cultivated and they don't want to give up on anybody because they feel like they're going to be primetime players. You and I both know this. prospects are very hit or miss, and it's a lot more misses than hits. You've got, if you kind of read between the tea leaves with this organization, this organization really likes its top 10 guys. It loves its top 5 guys. And out of that mix, you might get 3 guys that can play at an incredibly high level. I'm not saying all-star level, but might be able to give you time. It might be guys who might earn that second contract from you. And to me, when your window is this open and you're here now, you should be making much more deft moves to really bolster this roster. And there were guys out there during the trade deadline that you could have got for a little bit of term, and it would have justified you trading away guys within that top 10 list that you are so madly in love with and that you covet so damn much. I just, the approach to building this team as we kind of go through these seasons is getting more and more and more frustrating to me. I want to get your thoughts on how this organization cultivates this talent and then loves to hold on to it. Like the guys that they're holding on to, if we're lucky, we'll see next year. If we're lucky. There are guys who are 2 and 3 years away still, and I don't know if your window is going to stay open that long.
Yeah, man. It's head scratcher. Words can't come to your mouth when you look at it, because you and I are just the kind of the same way, in that if we see something, we're like eagles. We want to get it right away. And I just feel like the teams in town have an approach that is just a little bit left of safe. And there's just a certain level of aggression that I just don't understand. What would have hurt to bring in Suarez, Bednar? And I like the one move I like Finnegan. I think that's going to be something to be fruitful and have a chance to put in your bullpen and do some things. But
he's the one.
He's the one. But the rest are like, you're hoping. I don't want to hope at the deadline. It's like you and I are in the same boat. We don't go to the store and say, I'm hoping you can make me a double chocolate cake with some sprinkles. I want that sugary tasting shit right now. I don't want to hope. Like, is it going to taste right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're going to take a bite of it and it's going to be like, uh-oh, something's wrong with it. This doesn't taste right. I can't smell it. I can't taste it. You're like, holy shit, what's going on? So I'm not thrilled with what's going on. But in the end, the Tigers do have an opportunity because of the level of play in the AL to kind of get out of it. But I don't see, you want to feel a sense of hope that the World Series is close. But the approach that these teams are taking to building is just a little bit too comfortable with what they have. And I get it. You watch everybody, you know their personality, you know how they're doing things every single day. You have that comfort level. And when you go outside of that and you're investing millions of dollars, owners don't like that. They like it safe, and there's a level of appreciation for sustained success. But I'm ready for the swings, man. Take a swing and say, hey, we're going for it. Look what Seattle did. Just all we have to look is one organization, the Mariners. That made me jealous. I don't like to feel jealous at the deadline. Look what the Phillies did. I don't like to feel jealous when, Dave Dombrowski's out there being a little bit more aggressive. That's all we need, is just a little bit more aggression. This one kind of feels like Scott Harris opening the door to being smartest guy in the room. And that's the first step. We'll see. If he's wrong, we'll see if it ends up being a situation in which it costs this team down the road. This could be the first sign, but does it feel like the Tigers waved the white flag? Like, hey, we know maybe, like we said last week, you and I opened that door and said maybe Scott Harris won't add significantly because he looks honestly and says, we're not good enough. We need a couple more years, and we're only year 2 of where we're at, and we don't want to sacrifice some heavy talent where maybe there could be 1 or 2 World Series, similarly to the Marlins when they had their run, or the Yankees when they were able to build and get to the World Series perennially. If that happens, maybe there's a chance for a couple World Series, but before you get 2, can I get 1? I just feel like they did wave the white flag metaphorically on this season.
Yeah, it absolutely feels like they did. It's one of those things where, hey guys, we went out and we made moves, right? And I say moves using finger quotes. We went out, we made moves. But we believe in you guys, and you guys are going to be able to get us to the promised land. Like, if I'm in that locker room, I have a very realistic approach of what we have, right? I look at the starting pitching after Tarek Skubal, it's some question marks, right? Like, you know how I feel about Jack Flaherty. I've talked about it multiple times on this show. You went out and you grabbed a guy in Milton who is probably not going to be in your starting rotation when you make it to the playoffs, because Reese Olson is basically dead for the regular season. You've got 4 or 5 other guys that have basically died as the regular season has gone on. And you've got Casey Mize, who you're hoping can stay healthy and doesn't die. And so, like, I'm like, if you just go get get a quality arm who we could probably pencil in as at least the 3rd guy overall, that starting rotation all of a sudden looks completely dangerous. And that bullpen all of a sudden looks much better. If a guy gets in trouble, we've got some guys who can do some long relief if we need them to. And then you look at that bullpen, it's like, just go get us a freaking closer. There's a guy out there like Yohan Duran who's a stud. Go get this guy. You've seen what it was like when you faced him against the Phillies. He shut you down. Like, he annihilated you. Go get that guy. He's available. And we've already talked about adding a guy like Suarez. I don't think there was necessarily a bat out there that we would be like, oh my God, we got to have that guy. I think it probably was Suarez, right? It cost you the equivalent of your 11th overall pick. Like, there's a good chance that guy never, ever makes it to the show. There's a good chance you would have to go to Toledo or to Erie to see him play baseball for his career. So fantastic possibility. Instead, yeah, he was a rental. But you know what? You could have rented him and you could have won a World Series. And before you start winning World Series 4 and 5, you got to still win World Series 1. And it feels like these organizations here collectively in Detroit, and specifically with the Tigers, are so worried about winning their 4th and 5th championship when they haven't even done jack squat to win the 1st. I understand you all got great farm systems and you all got great minor leagues, and you don't want to get rid of the guys that you invested a little bit of draft capital in. But here's the deal. That's why you go out and you draft those guys, because you can turn around, you can spin them for proven players. You know what gets things done? Proven players. You go get those guys. They come in, they make your roster that much better, and you're able to, like you said, not wave that white flag on a World Series this year. Instead, you're in the mix with it. You're in the grind. You're taking on a team like the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Mets, and you're fighting for that World Series. And you're able to push that to Game 6, Game 7, and you got a chance to win the whole damn thing. Instead, it really does feel like the Tigers are saying, "Hey, our goal is to just make the playoffs. We just want to be competitive to where when the end of the season rolls around, we're on the graphic and they're talking about our names and they're talking about us being in the playoffs." And then what happens is you roll the dice when you get to the playoffs. All you got to do is get hot. It's like that hockey mentality where if you get a hot goalie, you can win the Stanley Cup. Or hear me out, guys, have a couple of top 6 forwards who can take over a game and have some defense in front of that goaltender and just go win the whole damn thing.
Right.
It could be Chris Osgood between the pipes. It doesn't matter.
Rasheed Wallace, Brendan Shanahan, the moves, Kenny Rogers. Like, it's like they forget history. You know what it is? Scott Harris and Brad Holmes don't remember Detroit sports history. We need a symposium. You and I, you get on the graphic, I'll get on the horn and start saying, we're going to have a Doc and Jock Detroit Sports Symposium with 4 people invited. Brad Holmes, Scott Harris, Steve Yzerman, and Trajan Langdon. It's open. It's a symposium where people can listen online. We'll do a Zoom, and you and I will talk Detroit sports history with these 4 general managers. And we'll say, step one will be the culture that you need to establish, which is grit. We all understand that. They've done that well. We need to understand what it is that the expectation is, which is winning. And then number 3, which will be the biggest portion when we're going to do the breakout session, where you take the hockey and the baseball, I'll take the football and the basketball, and we'll say, look, when it's time and you're close, You need to buy players. Here is the importance. Here's the correlation. You buy good players, fans happy. Happy fans buy tickets. Happy ticket holding members of your fan base drink a lot of beer. This equates to more revenue, which equates to more winning. And so we need to have the pointer, and we need to say, good players, external, more tickets, more money, more winning, more tickets, more revenue. Do we understand? More external options, more aggression. This part, 75% of doing your job, we all like all four of you. This last part, and we keep banging the white thing, the stick on the board. We need the final pieces. Recall, Brendan Shanahan, Red Wings. Kenny Rogers helped this Tigers team. Maglio Ordonez, Pudge, external. We have an opportunity here, general managers, to set forth the pathway of winning. Where is this drive of winning? And this is what we need. We need a symposium, and you got to make sure that you emphasize with the stick. External options have to be proven. Not guys in their 40s with north of 4 ERAs. They must have established that they've been, hey, what's established? The June pitcher of the month, David Bednar, established. Eugenio Suarez, north of 20 home runs. Former player. You can complete the story after you botch trading him or letting him go. So that's where it is. It's just that the teams externally are like they get their panties in a bunch. Just the best way to put it. They don't know how to get external guys that are in the, listen. And then the other thing too. Rentals equals ratings. Rentals equals ratings. We don't care if they want to be here long. We just need you for the hour. You understand? I don't need you to date. I don't want to get married. I just need you for the hour. Mm-hmm. You understand? At the end of the hour, we all get dressed and we all leave. There's no more connection. We just need you for that hour. We just need you for the rest of the season. Do the job. We're all happy. Clean up and go home with the win and a championship. Rentals are not that big a deal. These guys treat it like it's like some big R word. It's a rental. It's not that big a deal. Get a guy. You don't have to pay him anymore. You get the ring. You get to see you later. That's the best part about paying. See you later. But that's how these teams operate, cuz. And I think you and I are part of a group that understands, and we're passionate, and we're frustrated that we're close. We're in gear 3, but gear 4 and gear 5 seem to be a big struggle for these general managers.
It's like they're afraid to fucking downshift and just go, man.
And go.
Like they are afraid to hit the pedal.
Go.
And I don't know if they feel like if the moment they start telling the fan base to expect these championships, that all of a sudden their job and everything that they do will get a little bit more.
That's the job.
Scrutinized.
That's what you get paid for.
A little bit more on the hot seat. But like, yeah, that's why you're in the position you're in. That's why you're where you're at. And if you are as good as you believe you are, or as good as you should believe you are, then you shouldn't be worried about it. You should be worried about just doing your job to the best of your ability and winning that championship.
You get respect.
Again, man, you can't win championship 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 without winning the first one. And I feel like these teams are so risk adverse to going out and going all in to win that championship. Right. Everybody talks about being good for long term. You know what that leads to? That leads to 12 years of us being frustrated because our team gets to the World Series, or our team gets into the playoffs, or our team gets into the first and second round of the playoffs, and then they end up getting popped. They never actually make it to the World Series. They never actually make it to a Super Bowl. They never actually make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. They never make it to the NBA Finals. That's what that means. That's all that is. It's just you are now frustrated for 12 years because you haven't been able to cross the threshold to win the damn championship.
No doubt about it. It's when are they going to take the next step? That's the biggest thing that people are looking for, the final step to get to the championship. And we'll see. I do think the Tigers are getting in position to be close. Maybe next year's the year. But most people, and the one comment I disagree with Scott Harris is he says that he doesn't want to talk window. He feels like the window is open with the talent that they have. I disagree. When you have one of the best aces in baseball, they don't just last forever. You're going to lose them. So if Tariq Skubal leaves, that's a big hole to fill. And that's prospects only have a certain amount of hit rate. Prospects are tough, so you got to capitalize. So I am thinking that internally, this year, next year, they believe is a chance to strike, and we'll see what level of talent infusion the Tigers will have. But right now, most people are like disappointed, let down, and feel like the organization did patchwork. And it's like, just everybody knows it when you're in house repair. It's like you see the holes in the side of the wall, and everybody's like, "Man, you gotta need new drywall." And then you got that guy that's like, "No, man, I'll just patch it up for $80. 3 holes." And then next day your kid bumps into it, and the patchwork collapses. You're like, "Oh my God, here we go again." And you just keep putting good money after bad by not just fixing it right away. We all know we tried to fix the sink for $20 with Harry the friend. But instead, you should have just went. You should have just went. Uncle Harry didn't fix the sink this time. Instead, he put the sink in and put it on backwards. And instead of a $200 job, now it's a $600 job because you're an idiot and you didn't do it the right way. So sorry.
Prime example, right? My AC unit took a shit probably almost a month ago, right? I'm sitting here recording with you in my office with a fan blowing on me, trying to keep me cool. My AC unit goes out. After a couple of things working with a buddy of mine who does HVAC work, but he's not a
certified
HVAC guy. Yeah.
And I was like, certification? Not needed.
It's the compressor. And we've already spent some money. We've already replaced a couple of things. I should have just called the guy, had a guy come out, could have got me a compressor, and we could have been in business. Instead, I'm still waiting for the part to come in. And I don't know if you've known this, but we've had a couple 100-degree days. It's been pretty miserable. So, God. I had to go spend $900 just on AC units to try to keep parts of the house cool.
Adam and I are the same kind of thing. We start with the cheapest option, and then we realize, why didn't I just do this the right way? Ask, hey, you guys, you're certified? Yeah, Uncle Harry and our friend Jim down the street. Yeah, I'll get somebody. Where'd you find this guy? He's a friend of Sally, brother of Tim, and we know him. He did a good job. Comes in, and he's looking like, this guy does not know what he's doing. And he's coming in, and you're like, oh, God, what have I done? I should have just swallowed the pill and paid the price right away. So that's what I've been doing lately, is just call somebody that you trust, and that you feel certified, can get in, get out, and handle business. So that's what I'm hoping, is that in the future, Scott Harris and General Manager Brad Holmes and Steve Yzerman and Trajan Langdon, all of them can get after it and be able to, find a good mix of free agents and homegrown guys to get that the right recipe to win it all. Just to look at the last Super Bowl winner before we talk about the Lions. It's Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, external free agent, and he's a running back where they say don't pay running backs. External free agent when you had a good team. The final piece. The Tigers were close. Maybe they felt like they weren't the final piece away. And we'll see. And maybe they prove us wrong with the little engine that could. And those are the kind of teams that end up, if they win, become revered, where nobody believed. And they felt like they needed a lot more than what was actually there. So we'll find out. Because I know you probably put a little time into it. What did you think? How far into the Hall of Fame game did you get? I went. It was an easy drive. There was no issues, no traffic. It was great. Like I said, the blessing was they had big signs for the credential to go to the middle school to get it. No problem. It took 5 minutes. They had my name in the system, but they couldn't find it. And so it's like MAA, macaroon. I'm like, first of all, am I in the system? They're like, yeah. So now when I go do these things, I just joke around. I said, okay, good. That's a plus. I'm in the system. So I'm getting one. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And so I'm more comfortable with that. Then you got to the crappy part is there's no real unified parking other than a fairgrounds. So it's a muddy mess. And you're like, okay, I got to dodge the mud. Luckily, I parked at the end so I can get right onto the gravel road to get to the bus. The bus was cool. It's a mile away. You get dropped off. But then you got to walk a little bit, which was fine for me. It was no problem. But then the circus began, which is, hey, where's the media door? There's no sign. And they're like, I don't know. They're like, oh, this is not going to go good. The volunteers were looking at me like, what do you mean? There is a door that the media with this badge that you're looking at must walk into. Where is that? I don't know. All right. So that was step one. And I'm like, all right. So then I try to get to the right to the front entry. I could see, okay, every stadium you can see and tower where the media would sit. And so I go right by that. I'm like, hey, lady, where am I going? She's like, down there. I'm like, down the ramp. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I just walked right down the ramp with the trucks. I'm like, this isn't right. But you're just going with it. And there's nobody around. Just a Middle Eastern guy with a bag, walking down the ramp. And there's trucks, and you're like, hi, media, hi, PR staff. And they're like, you don't know where you're going, do you? And they're like, we don't know either. I'm like, this is par for the course. This is everywhere I go. This is what it's like. But I had a big smile on my face, so I was laughing, embracing it. I was almost going to walk back up and walk back down and like turn on some wrestling music and just do a pimp walk or something. Be like, is anybody going to notice if I just do like a wrestling entrance down this ramp? And but finally, I found my own way around the corner to get up there. And I told the guy, I'm like, man, this place was hard to find. He's like, yeah, And it was a crap show. And then the media, luckily, I wasn't involved because the Pro Football Hall of Fame could have ended Doc and Jock. M Live writers, Detroit news writers were in an elevator. It slid down. The elevator broke, and it was wild because after the game, the Lions staff goes in the elevator. They go down from the 7th floor to the 6th to the 5. We're waiting 2-3 minutes, and then another 4, 5, 7. It comes up. The door opens. Guess who's standing there? The Lions staff. You're like, the door went down. The door closed. You guys went down and went back up. It was a crap show. So then finally we get down to the area where we need to go, and then there's all the Detroit media, and they're like, yeah, the elevator broke. And there's 30 people standing there. And you're like, okay. And then they're like, you got to go outside to get to the media room. We're like, huh? They're like, well, you can go down these steps, but you got to go outside the stadium. And we're all like, we don't want to do that. We just want to get to where we got to go. And you got some of the high-end media getting mad because we missed Dan Campbell. None of us asked Dan Campbell a single question. Maybe one person was there. One. And then finally we got to the locker room and there was only 3 people we could talk to. So for those that dedicated travel, that's their lifeblood, is to get 5, 6, 7, 8 players. That builds a bank of information. And good friend of the podcast, Ben Raven, who's been on our wrestling podcast, goes, you never see him mad. That's the most friendliest big man on earth. He was mad.
He's like the happiest guy all the time.
Mad. He was mad. And he's like, I was in the elevator and it dropped. I'm like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Don't put no Doc in no faulty elevator.
Here's the thing. For those who don't know, the NFL Hall of Fame, and specifically the
that
field
stadium
that they play the Hall of Fame game on, and just the stadium that they played in, it's a complete shit show. Like, I went to the Hall of Fame once, and I thought it was completely overrated. I think what they try to do is good. I think the overall thought process behind it is good enough. The execution is poor. I feel like what the media has to go through to do their jobs there, it's almost dangerous at times. And you talked about the elevator and just trying to get around and navigate that place. I don't like. When you told me you were going, I was like, I do not envy that man. No. Honestly, it'd probably be best for him just to stay home and watch it on television.
No. I wanted the experience. Because it's only a 3-hour drive. I wanted to at least be in the vicinity. And there's some good information. Like, you do want to showcase to some players that you're trying, and the Lions too. Because I am a part-time traveler. So if it's something within 3 hours, it's an experience. But I didn't know that. Yeah, I should have asked you. I didn't know the experience was like that. It's amateurish. It's an amateurish field.
Yes.
It's amateurish. It's amateurish at the highest level to handle the NFL.
High school fields that are better taken care of.
Yeah.
And can fit more fans and are much more receptive to media. That place is dump.
It's a dump. It's a dump. It was wild to think that this is where you guys honor the NFL. This is how they're not equipped to handle the level of. It was hilarious, bro. The media was taking pictures, updating it live. I'm in a picture with the Athletic, just looking like, yeah, here we are. We're outside. We're outside trying to. It was what. Now, to me, my anger wasn't there because I was like, this is like another day that ends in Y. This is what my life is like. It's like you're supposed to go down this road and then you end up going down 5 other roads to get to where you need to go. This is what my life is like every day. It's like the easiest pathway between A to C is B. I never get to go to B. Never. It's always the hard way. Hard times, hard way. But you come to like it. You come to laugh a little bit. You're like, the elevator went down with Lions staff. 7, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. The elevator opened, and then there they were again. I just started laughing. And everyone's looking at me like, I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
They just went down and went back up, and nobody knew where to get off at. So it was a crap. It was in some way spicy to talk about. But yeah, but nowadays people were saying, Doc, that's, I know you're joking about it, but in lieu of what happened in New York, you got to have some level of security. You can't I know I have a media badge on, and I'm a 5'3" guy, but you can't just let some guy roam into your stadium by himself with a bag. I mean, come on. Nope. Yeah, security. I just looked at him, looked at security, kept walking. I mean, the badge maybe gives you some credibility. And they all figure, oh, dude, if this guy does something, we can easily whoop his ass. So it's just funny the level of incompetence and lack of knowledge and ignorance that's there. Like the teenager you have a teenager standing in front of the Lions locker room and he has no clue what he's doing. And I could have literally just went, okay, hey, this is the Lions locker room, cool, and went right in. So it's interesting, but the game in and of itself was a dud. It was as if the Lions treated it like, we're here, let's just get after it. And they scored 7 points. They got their ass beat by Jim Harbaugh, and it's the biggest thing because I think most people took away from it is we don't like Hooker, we don't like Allen, and I think it's fair, and that's why it stinks now. As we're talking, it's now official. Bridgewater has officially signed with the Buccaneers, so it's coming out.
Sucks.
It sucks. What did you make of the quarterbacks, and what did you make of the game?
Yeah. So overall, let me run you through my experience with getting set up to watch the game. So the wife and I got the baby down early. She missed her nap that day. She was dealing with a little bit of COVID herself, and she was not feeling well. So we were able to get her down, and the wife's plan was like, hopefully I can get her down by 8:30 and I can catch part of this game and all that and this. And I was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. Baby was down by 7:45. So we were well within our window to watch this football game. I got a gigantic Samsung television in my living room. You've seen it.
It's epic.
It takes up an entire wall.
The inspiration for my television was Adam. Right. It was like, oh, this is nice. We watch hockey. I'm like, this is sports viewing pleasure. I should copy that.
It's a good time. I also have a Samsung telephone. And if you own any Samsung devices, that Samsung and their media player went down probably 30 minutes before the game started.
Oh, I didn't know that. No, I did not know that. Oh my God.
I've got YouTube TV, and it's a streaming app. I've got YouTube on my phone for the streaming app. I could not watch it on my television. I tried for 35 minutes. The wife's got it pulled up on her iPhone, and because she has an Apple. So she's streaming it while I'm trying to get everything working. I'm getting frustrated. It's not working. Luckily, we have a television in our backyard on our garage that is not Samsung, and we were able to go sit out on our patio and watch. We watched basically until the first half. Yeah. And then I was like, I'll just watch the rest of it later when we can watch it in the house, because at that point it was like 9:30 and I was getting bit by bugs. So my viewing pleasure was not pleasurable at all. But my big takeaway from this game was this team has not done nearly enough to secure the backup quarterback position.
Right.
Kyle Allen is trash. Hendon Hooker is absolute garbage. And look, you watch him a lot. I just kind of feel like the Hendon Hooker experience has to be over. Like, we've got to go in a different direction. My hope was when the news broke about Teddy Bridgewater, maybe the Lions could reach out to him. Maybe he wanted to come back. Maybe he could slide in. He could be that number 2 quarterback where he would have us all feeling secure. Look, he's not going to be Jared Goff, your backup quarterback. There's a reason he's a backup. They're not going to be your starter. Their job is to come in and help steady a ship and possibly win you a game. I feel like if you have to put Hendon Hooker in, if you have to put Kyle Allen in, your season is completely over. They're not going to help you win any football games. I feel like the playbook has to be so dumbed down and laid out to help these guys execute plays to help get you positive yards. You're going to be tipping your hand at all costs. And from what I've seen thus far, it really feels like this offense is struggling to get out of the gate. This offense, to me, feels like it's a little bit further behind the 8 ball than we expected. Now, I know it's still very early in preseason, and things can get worked out. And that's why we have these preseason games. That's why we have these practices. That's why we have joint practices. I get it. I understand it. I was really hoping with John Morton having the prior experience he had, and the hope was Jared Goff taking maybe a bigger role in the game plan, things would be a little bit smoother. I understand this offense wants to be able to drive the ball deep. They want to be able to take the top off the defense more. I know that's getting worked in. But what I've seen thus far, specifically with your backup quarterback play, and then with the guys in training camp, it just kind of feels like there are some weights holding this offense down and keeping this offense stuck almost in neutral. And to me, that's concerning. I think the one big highlight, specifically coming out of the Hall of Fame game, you had three guys that kind of showed up. I felt like Craig Reynolds really earned his spot in this one game. Like Craig Reynolds went out and did what Craig Reynolds is expected to do. Dominic Lovett played well. He was targeted multiple times, made multiple receptions. I thought he did a good enough job for a rookie wide receiver. Tesla made some big plays or bigger plays, caught 2 of 3 balls in this game. My concern is I'm not sure he's going to be worth what you gave up to get him. Everybody comps this guy to Puka Nacua. The one play where he didn't end up catching the ball, he was flanked by 2 defensive backs. And the thing about him is he's supposed to be able to get separation at all costs. I didn't really see it there. Now, it was a poorly thrown ball by Kyle Allen, so I'm not going to really put that on him. But just kind of watching him play, when he's able to run some of those more intermediate routes, yeah, he's able to get away. When he's trying to take the top off the defense, it's not really there. I get Puka Nacua is more of that guy that you're going to hit on that slant, and he's going to take it the distance. He's that guy you're going to hit on the intermediate route. So I get that comparison. All that being said, I think I would have much still preferred a defensive player with that draft pick and you possibly coming back and picking him up in the 4th round. I just don't know if he's going to be worth everything you gave up. And yes, it's one game. Yes, it's a Hall of Fame game. Yes, it's preseason. Yes, they were his first couple of snaps. Still incredibly early. But what I'm seeing early on, I'm concerned, man. So I thought that you had 3 guys on offense that really kind of stood out. I thought the quarterback play was absolute trash, and I feel like they have to figure something out to solidify that QB room. Again, I'll go back to it. My hope is that the Browns cut Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco is the guy that you can go pick up, and you can bring him here, and he can be your backup quarterback, because that's a dude who's a vet. That's a dude who might be able to see something a little bit different than Jared Goff. That guy plays a very similar style of football to Jared Goff, and the playbook's not going to have to change too much. I just feel like the Hendon Hooker experience needs to end, and he should really be put on the first bus out of town. Him, and take Kyle Allen with you in your suitcase. We are good, bro. What did you think of those, specifically those 3 guys, Tesla, Dominic Lovett, and Craig Reynolds, coming out of this Hall of Fame game? Like I said, I really feel like Craig Reynolds really solidified his spot as that 3rd running back in this game. And look, I know it's early, but he's a dude who signed that 1-year deal to come back. You got experience with him. He looked like he was on offense. He looks like he was the most dangerous piece that was out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tesla was the man. He looks the part, and I just did a story and said, hey, I think he could be a day 1 starter. At least at this point, it's wild in that Tim Patrick has had a slow start, and he admitted it. He's like, I've had a slow start. The offense is getting, a little bit bogged down because the defense is bringing so much pressure, and so Tesla's taking advantage because of his size, and he's just an open receiver. So he understands how to catch the ball. He knows the position. And so you can see a little bit why the Lions liked him. He's doing okay. The rookies are starting to showcase. All right. And so you see Brett Holmes is like, yeah, I like these guys because I picked him. I went to their stuff and I said, that's the guy. So I love him. So, and Dan Campbell was like, I love Tesla. I was like, oh, the inside the den was pretty cool. So the rookies are doing well. And so that's where it's good, is that a lot of times they're hitting on at least 60% of the players, at least at the top, which is good. Now it sucks because throughout camp, Ennis Rakestraw is just a guy that is just at this point in time not physically able to play the game of football because of his injuries. So it stinks. It's a drawback because you need these 2nd-round picks to get after it. It's a pick now for 2 years that you don't have to get after it. So it's a little disappointing to kind of have, it's just disappointing to have a player in Ennis Rakestraw that would provide a lot of depth not be there. But you're absolutely right. I liked what I saw a little bit from Manu. He was okay in the game, but his practices have been rough. I liked what I saw from Hassanin. I thought that he was grinding and doing his thing. The player that's interesting, that's real unique, I think, cause that you would really like is Grant Stewart. He's gritty. He's like the little ball of hate, Pat Verbeek. He's just there. Maybe not the most talented, but he's getting the most out of his opportunity because he works hard.
That's the linebacker, right?
Yeah,
I did like him. I did like his play. On the even side of the ball, he was the one guy who I took some notes of, and I was like, yeah, I do like him.
Yeah, it's one of those deals. You go, okay, we like guys that are like that, but unfortunately, you can't start. You can't start with a butt fumble. Try to reach out and it's a linebacker. It's cute. It's one of those deals. I would stick with Vaki and Khalif Raymond and let that kind of be fun. And you don't need a linebacker returning kicks. It's a fun experiment, but the one thing that was disappointing though throughout the game was the special teams error, which was tough. So it's a fun situation to watch a team and the overall development of certain players. And I do like the safety battle. Dude, Kennelly did a spear, and I love everybody was referencing, he did the Braun Breaker spear. It's like, man, it's I feel old. It used to be the Goldberg spear. It used to be the Roman Reigns spear. And how how fast time rolls. It's automatically shifted over to the Braun Breaker spear. And so that was a cool play to see Kennelly. He went to Utica Eisenhower, so a lot of connection there, the Grand Valley State product. So it was real cool to see the development of some of the young guys. That's what it's about. But you're absolutely right. I think that the front office should have did a little bit better job with the quarterbacks. The sloppiness of the game made it tough. So this Friday will be a much better test. Friday night, 8 o'clock, you play the Falcons. Hooker will play with the twos in the first half. I think this will be the next biggest opportunity to fairly assess what he's got. And I think it's pretty much fair to say he'll do enough, I think, to win the backup job, but we're looking beyond that. We're looking to assess if something happens to Goff, can you be like Teddy and lead a touchdown drive? Right now, the answer is no, and he's got work to do to continue to build confidence to get after it. So that's where the lines are at. It's early. Right now, I guess that's the staple of what all the NFL world says is the defense is always ahead of the offense right now, which is fine. I can understand pejorative messaging. But right now, the Lions offense got to step it up. I'm hoping Wednesday's practice, because we're recording this on Tuesday, I hope Wednesday's practice is a little better for the offense, more crisp and a little bit less sloppy, and Goff throws less ducks because his Monday practice was not the best for QB1. So it's early. Our concern level's a 3, but also when you have a concern level about one side of the ball, be happy about the other side. The defense can play. They can get after it. If the starting 11 stays healthy, and look at the starting 11, cuz it's pretty fair. You got Aiden Hutchinson, edge, Tyleek Williams, DJ Reader, Marcus Davenport, the other edge. That's a great base front 4. 3 linebackers that are starting, Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, and Derek Barnes, very solid, know the system. Outside, DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold, that's pretty solid. You have the nickel, Amik Robertson, that's pretty good. And then you got 2 great safeties in Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. That's an 11 that I would take to the field against most teams, and if they can just stay healthy. Now, the depth is a little bit rough now. Vontae Maddox would be your reserve. Rock Ya-Sin, he's a good player, but he's a role player. Let's not elevate him too much. He's a role player, and the 49ers parted ways with him. He's more of a special teamers role player, but he's taking advantage of the opportunity. So your depth has been impacted. You got a bunch of guys that are trying, that you're getting from the UFL, that are trying to make the team. The biggest question mark now this week to watch is the offensive line. How do they handle the shifting and some of the injuries that they've dealt with? And once the offensive line gets into rhythm and they get fully going, then you'll start to see the Detroit Lions offense cook with gas. Make sure you follow Adam on X at AdamRSTROZ. Follow us on X as well at Detroit Podcast. All is great in the world of podcasting. Deals are being made. Listenership is up. Everyone's paying attention. Thank you guys for engaging with our X account at Detroit Podcast. It's been a fun time to really get into football, and now college football is right around the corner because we got to talk about it. Michigan State, it's around that time. I do think there's 2 programs with 2 varying degrees of expectations, and in the coming weeks, we'll talk about that as well. GMs, get ready. The Doc and Jock Victory Symposium. How to lead your franchise to championships, which equal more ratings and more revenue. Get ready, because Doc and Jock have one of the best presentations that will ever be delivered. Could we even make it a podcast? We'll see. We'll have fun with it. Thank you guys for listening to the Doc and Jock podcast. It's always a fun time. One of my best hours of the week. And I could say it, but I got to say it in the nice way. Jock can't smell what the Doc is cooking. See you later.
You fucking podcasters. I said don't let them in here.